Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a special day. I'm interviewing Tom Wiggins, who has been chosen to be an author in our Business Leaders edition, Volume 2, which is out now. And Tom's chapter was called Leadership as Easy as 1, 2, 3, and ABC. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Adam.
So, Tom, I'm excited to get more into your chapter. I mean, first of all, in our pre-show and in our many conversations before, I tell you that I guess the irony is that I learn as much from publishing these books on leadership and bringing these authors together as the readers do. So my quick background, obviously, I come from the financial advising world, but prior to being in media, just for the listeners that aren't aware of my backstory. And, I was always a solo guy, right? A lot of financial advisors. They're the kind of that are really, go at it alone, and they work hard and they do well, but they're not always the keenest on leadership because they're not always leading big teams. So that was always my situation prior to moving over into media. And now that I find myself, leading and growing a team, I do have some struggles, and I'm learning and growing into those leadership shoes. So personally, your chapter was a big inspiration for me, and it gave me a nice structure of ways to think about leadership and how to implement specific actions that could help myself and also my team move forward. So I want to get into some of those strategies and things that you say in your chapter. But first, what was your inspiration for writing this chapter? Let's start there.
Sure. Well, my inspiration is I've had kind of a wide-ranging background. I mean, I started off, as you did, in finance and originally in the 80s in real estate development consulting, but on the financial analysis side of things. I was in wealth management, worked for a large Wall Street firm as well as independently. But I've worked through all of these different areas and fields and sort of organically grown my leadership experience as I went along. So what inspired me was to have something where leadership as easy as 1, 2, 3, and ABC would be a mnemonic, a name device that people could have as a memory jog to think of developing one's leadership as something that's easy to attain. And just to explain it briefly, the 1, 2, 3 is putting the client first, the company second, and yourself third. So if you put the client first and the company that you work for second, then naturally your own success will flow from that. And the ABC is always be creating. So whatever we're doing in whatever our business is, we do ABC 1, 2, 3.
That's awesome. And I want to, for the listeners, this is a spoiler episode, so I still want you to go out and buy the book. But I just to let you know, I love getting into the content with the authors. So there's going to be all kinds of spoilers. Tom, feel free to give as many spoilers as you like. But throwing this out there, let's start with the accidental leader. So that's what I consider myself. When I read this, I'm like, I'm obviously a little bit older than when your accidental leader example, but that's the category that I put myself in at least 2 years ago, definitely. Tell us a little bit more about that story.
Mine was even earlier. It was when I was a freshman in college. I was 17 years old, and I joined a large national fraternity at a college that didn't have any national fraternities. They had a decades-old system of local fraternities. So there was this sort of leadership for fraternities coming online as a national fraternity, and I was voluntold by some of my fellow fraternity brothers that I should run for president. And as somebody who'd never even been a line leader in kindergarten, I thought, well, that's going to be interesting. And it was, and it was a trial by fire, but that's how you learn, and that's how I became an accidental leader. And it was really that first blush with saying yes to something that at first seemed daunting and overwhelming, that many times over in the decades ahead, I said yes to something that developed into a leadership role that I didn't even plan on when I first was in that particular field.
Oh my gosh, I love that, and that's definitely going on Twitter today. Ask Adam Torres. For somebody that's never even been a line leader in kindergarten, I was not expecting you to say that. That's hilarious. And I see what you were able to do, during that time and in leadership, and some of those lessons that you're giving. I want to move into, and you did give some examples on high level what your 1, 2, 3 and ABCs of leadership are. So again, just to repeat, so the 1, 2, 3 part is 1, put the client's interest first. 2, put the firm's interest second. 3, your own success will flow from the above. And then the ABC, just to repeat, A, always, B, and then C, creating. Can you give us an example of how to use these? And how you use them, at SIGEP?
So certainly. So at SIGEP, the ABC would be the first priority was the needs of the local SIGEP chapter. The second priority was the national SIGEP organization. And the third priority was meeting my needs as an individual SIGEP member. And then the ABC of always be creating was we were always creating, brand new SIGEP chapters at that first college. Then I ended up eventually continuing my fraternity experience at a different college that I transferred to, where we created another chapter. And so I, right within college, just at a couple of different universities, got the experience of the 1, 2, 3 and the ABC. And then I carried that forward in future years in, management consulting and after graduate school and wealth management, and more recently in the last decade in automotive R&D.
That's awesome. And so now you also give some examples in your chapter on how to use this and apply this in your life, whether it's personal or otherwise. Can you give us some examples of that?
Sure. So let's take sort of the most basic example, which would be within a family unit. So whether you're a parent, step parent, maybe a foster parent, a puppy parent, any role in which people are looking to you as a leader. So you would think of your child's or maybe your pet's needs first, and then how those needs fit into the family unit, and then lastly to yourself. And then you are responsible for being the one to always be creating whatever your family needs to kind of keep moving forward.
And so what has and I'm just curious, so I can see what you've done and what you've given the chapter, but what has this done for you on the personal side of things in your life? Because I see this framework, and I've been trying to use this and I keep on because like everything, the way I see this is it's like a tool. It's something that you have to kind of really ingrain in yourself, and that way of thinking you're not going to get it the first time. You're going to go back, you're going to look at scenarios, and you're going to say, oh, well, did I do that right? Was I putting that in, was my 1, 2, 3 in order? Was it not? Is that what led to the incorrect outcome, or how could I do things differently? So again, this is a tool that somebody can use long term, and you've been using this for quite some time in your life. What kind of things would you say that have been, or you would attribute as a good result to using this and applying this in your life long term?
Well, for me, it's something that, in spite of being very simple, that's why I picked as easy as 1, 2, 3 and ABC. In spite of being very simple, it's something that can be applicable in a variety of fields. So those fields could be business, sports, politics, academics, arts, military. I've been involved in all of those except the military. So in the many different areas of my life that I've been involved professionally or on a volunteer basis, I've been able to take that simple 2, 3, and ABC that I developed decades ago and apply it to whatever organization that I'm working in, whether it's my own organization for companies that I founded, or whether it's within the larger framework of corporations, within academics. I've been able to apply that evenly across many different fields.
That's awesome. So what's next with this concept? I mean, I love it now. It's published. I'm privileged to have published the content and to help you get this out to more. Are you developing keynotes around it? Are you doing other things? You plan on speaking? I mean, what's next with this concept?
What's next for this is it will continue to flow into what's next for me. I mean, currently I'm doing some consulting work, and it flows into that. As you've noticed, speaking. There are many different fields in which that ABC 123 can apply, and basically it's just sort of in my back pocket, and I hope that now it's not just in my back pocket, but I can slip it into the pockets of others. I mean, that's the point to me of being able to write something like this, is to educate, entertain, enlighten, any of the 3 E's for folks, and now they can think about it, and they can think, oh, well, how does leadership as easy as 1, 2, 3 and ABC apply to me? And it could apply whether you're a stay-at-home parent or a CEO.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Tom, really appreciate you making time to come on the show today. If somebody wants to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to connect?
The 2 best ways, one, if you're on Amazon, is amazon.com/author Tom-Wiggins, so amazon.com, author/Tom-Wiggins, or just LinkedIn. I'm easy to find on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Tom, for coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing. And again, thank you for submitting for this last Business Leaders Volume 2 book, Leadership as Easy as 1, 2, 3 and ABC. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot out of this episode. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Tom, thanks again for coming on the show.